welcome. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescriptions for Your Transformation. Real people, real conversations, and real success. And so once again, I am here after a long break. Took a long break, did a humanitarian trip out to New Zealand, both North Island and South Island, and was very blessed to have gone with this incredible group of people. Did some humanitarian work over there, bringing water solutions. But really happy to be back again. Prescription-free transformation is a really important thing that I do. It's something that I plan to grow quite significantly, particularly because there's so many people out there that really deserve to be heard. And it's important for me. That's my purpose. That's my mission in my life. My mission is, or my purpose of life is what I'm passionate about, is creating change, enhancing life, and developing peaceful awareness, or helping other people develop peaceful awareness. And the key that really challenges pretty much all of us is the fact that we don't know what we don't know. And once we discover what that really is then we can actually make the changes that we really want in life. And it's finding that alignment. I mean, who are we really? I love the fact that Tony Robbins, begins many of his sessions. Who are you? As he mentions on some of the great temples, on top of the temple says, who am I? Who are you? Who are you listening today? I mean, how often do you ask yourself, what is your identity? How do your beliefs match up with your identity? And what impact does that actually have in your life? And so it's so critical for all of us to really appreciate, these things, and getting that support from others. That's the key. Unless you're searching out there, unless you're looking to find the answers and finding the people that can give you the answers, you're just going to keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And maybe perhaps reach that time in your life at the end of your years wondering, was this all that there was? Having this kind of sense in yourself that something was missing. And now it's too late. So for today, I'm really delighted in a brilliant woman, a thought leader who can help you figure out some of these things that you now deserve to know. Carrie Moore, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you've got this incredible program coming up. And what I'd like to let all the listeners know that, it's really, what's really going on in the workplace. You have some very interesting statistics about the challenges, particularly today with the millennials and how many jobs they're going to have before the age of 30. And then that pursuit of happiness. You talk about, this fearless pursuit for happiness and what that really means. And I know that you have some incredible solutions. But first, I want to have you introduce yourself, your amazing self, who you are, and what you do.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be back again so soon after being here just a couple of months ago. And I thank you for your mission, your purpose, and how you're showing up in the world, Dr. Bart. And it really inspires me. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. In terms of how we all can stand up to our purpose versus stand by and watch perhaps our purpose, our life get beyond us or never really step into it. So for me, I have had a wonderful life and still am the becoming of me. And I live inside that. And some days that feels fearless and other days it feels pretty scary. But dream big or go home, right? So I'm dreaming big. And to that point, I spent 26 years of my life inside the corporate space. So I have the street cred. I have the understanding of what it means to be looking at people, to be looking at big goals of an organization, looking at your greatest asset, which is your people, looking at your services and your clients and saying, how the heck do I make all of this work, hit the numbers, and feel successful? So, that's where this mindset kicks in around getting very focused on the things you have to do versus just being you. And so what I love when I talk about model and mirror the way, I'm very sincere about what I'm modeling and mirroring. I bought into an external model for most of my life that to be successful, to have fulfillment, to have the joy that I thought that I desired and deserved, it required me being something beyond myself. And it meant that I had to chase a list, and I had to do things, go places, have experiences, grind it out, tough it out. And then eventually I would have some experiences that would feel great. And what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be that way. What I wish for everyone now, whether you're my age, younger or older, what I most definitely wish for the next generation. We've got graduations happening every week right now, right? We see all these commencement speeches going on, big dreams, big plans, big goals. And you're looking at the industries in a workplace. And I love the fact that there are so many young people that are saying, I'm not going to sell out. Isn't that great, Dr. Bart?
Love that. Love that.
They've already transformed. We've already given them permission to be unapologetic about who they are. And we don't need to give a label to it. We don't have to give an initiative to it. We don't have to create an affinity group. It's you're a human being. You matter. You have purpose. Go be it. Notice that's different than go do it. Being it, meaning it's automatic. And that's what I truly believe in. And it's the counter. So if you're a leader, say you run an organization, you're a CEO, you're an executive like what I once was, and you're standing in front of a crowd and you're giving your message, right? Like, we need 13% returns on numbers this year. We need to grow revenues. Autonomous growth, acquisitions. We have all these language, right? Language for success. Are people believing you? Are you valuing them? Do you care about their experience to getting to that goal? So this is why we have 87% of our workforce completely disengaged. Why? They don't think they matter. They don't think you think they matter. And they probably know you don't pay them or treat them as though they matter. So what does the World Economic Forum tell us about a better form of a knowledge worker? Artificial intelligence tells us that within the next 2 years, we'll lose 7 million jobs. Guess what, guys? This isn't entry-level positions that are going to fade away. These are management MBA positions, looking over people who we haven't valued, who we now can replace with some automation. We didn't make an investment into the model, and now technology is giving us what we asked for, something better. But guess what? It doesn't always take in the human element. So how do we survive against that? How do we change the tide of 87? Imagine that. Imagine you have 100 people working for you, and 87 out of 100 people do not give a rat's ass to why you pay them to be there. That is the reality.
So where
Right?
does that come from? And let me propose a theory that I now have. Is because when, the post-war era, where, so the economy was building up tremendously, and
The greatest generation.
the greatest generation, right? And where it was all about the institution. It's the security, it's the meaning, it's the purpose, it's the identity of the institution. So perhaps there we began to externalize our happiness, as you like to put it. You externalize their criteria, what's going to make us happy. I'm part of an institution, I'm part of a greater cause, I'm part of something, I'm part of a community. And as long as that institution takes care of me, right, then I'm going to be okay. But you've been working for someone else. And all you
Right.
wanted was that financial security. You wanted the quality of life. But then the 60s hit, and then that's where chaos happened, where people really began to question all this, but the institutions kept on. And so what's interesting then, and which is also the purpose, for, this conversation and all the conversations that I have here, is prescription for your transformation. By whose prescription are you living your life? So my question for you then, right? What's the new prescription?
Mm. The new prescription is that there is an authentic way of living that guarantees the outcome of what you're pursuing. We have this pursuit of excellence, this pursuit of happiness, but I'm saying it comes from within, right? The peace that you have, being able to answer these three simple questions. I'm not saying it's simple to answer, but the questions really are simple. Who are you? What do you believe? And what's your purpose? And let me tell you, your purpose is always coming from things that you're passionate about, things that probably when you were a kid, that you were doing, imagining, and taking it to the next level. So yeah, that's the piece of it. We could reconnect. If you were like me, where I disconnected and maybe lived most of my life not really always operating from that foundation of what is my personal truth? What do I know to be true about me? What do I believe in? And so when we go back to that and we model the way that being is what matters, the definition of being is soul, essence. I loved it when a couple of months ago I discovered that, right? Human essence. We all have it. Even saying the word, doesn't it just feel good? You're like, oh, yeah, I have essence. And a lot of us think we don't even have that, but that isn't true. So I'm saying the impact that we want to make in the world, you as a person, we all want to be a part of something greater than ourselves. It's why community matters. It's why I love it even more now that I have stepped out of being inside of a corporate mold, but I still believe I believe in organizations. I believe in the power of what an organization can do. What I'm suggesting, Dr. Bart, is let's model what we know happens in communities. See, when a community doubles in size, its ability to connect and transform doubles. When an organization doubles in size, its ability to connect and transform goes down. Why is that? Same group of people, right? I live in Miami, Miami-Dade County. If I'm in the community, I am 10x, 50x myself. I walk inside of a building who's paying me a paycheck. How can I go negative 50, right? Culture. All
Interesting.
it is behavior is what drives the change, right? That's all we got to shift. We have it. We literally have it in our backyard, no pun intended.
So here's the question that I have for you. I mean, clearly you're an intelligent woman. Clearly you have lots of experience, and it's taken you this long to figure this out. And my challenge then is, and again, the premise for what it is that I do, because it's been my own personal experience, is you don't know what you don't know. That's going to make the difference. There are too many people out there that just don't know that they're actually missing out on something.
I think they feel it. When I talk to clients, so I have my client base is individuals that I'm coaching, entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners that I'm coaching, either for them or for their business. And I always give this analogy, and I didn't make this analogy up. I heard someone say it, but I really believe in it. Imagine that you are running a race of some kind, a short distance race. So you have a circular track you're on. Take a rope and tie it around your waist. On the other end of the rope is a 100-pound anvil. What does it take for you to run around the track carrying a 100-pound anvil? What does that feel like for 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
You probably get really good at carrying the BS, right? You learn how to manipulate it. You learn how to maybe even draft with it, you think, right? You buy into the model that that weight you're carrying is your reality. And then what happens, right? This is how athletes train, right? Take the weight off, then run around the track. You want to change your rate of performance as a runner, take the weights off and see how fast you run. This is life.
But
When
then
we
my
start
question,
real Yeah,
but
go
my
ahead.
question for you then is that what is currently inspiring people to take that weight off, or to actually realize that there is a weight? Because I still feel that a lot of people are living in the world of unconsciousness. Not a criticism of them, but it's also true to my own story. You know, I grew up in 5 different countries. I speak 4 different languages. I had 17 years of medical training, and I was unconscious. So,
Hmm.
so what changes?
Ah, well, you and I like to call it midlife crisis. But what I like to teach people is, let's call it, again, I love the power of language, because language either activates something, it inspires
Yeah,
you, or you check out, right? So midlife, blah, blah. First of all, we don't like it because when we hear it, it means we're halfway over. No, no, no. It's a cross point. And what I love about the other statistic you asked, that millennials that are said by the age 35 will have had 12 to 15 jobs. They are showing us what it means to self actualize continually. They literally are saying, I am in true pursuit of happiness. So they're experiencing a new version of themselves all the time, which you know as a doctor to be absolutely true. So, what makes us numb is believing that we're not continually creating and changing. So, all we have to do, people like you and me, with a mission like this, is to show people they're constantly shifting and changing. A cross point is merely an opportunity to make a new decision, do something different, use the power of who you are as a creator, as a human being, to do something more, different, better, live somewhere else, do something. This is not the model you were talking about that became a component of the industrial age, where it was the idea that we all were robotically on a line creating something. So now we shift into purpose, into being. Now I can continually making choices. So one of the programs I have, Dr. Bart, is, why do you have to be at an organization 10 to 15 years to have a sabbatical? So sabbatical is 7 years. So the idea was every 7 years you get time off. You probably know where that model first came from. When in Let's just go to, I'll just say Egypt, right? This is as I studied it, it was a Middle Eastern philosophy. If you were a slave owned by someone, every 7 years your debt was wiped clean. You had an opportunity to take on a different element of life. That definition, the seventh day we rest, the seventh year we get a clean slate. Sabbaticals is what that is. I'm saying, what if we had an ongoing community of innovation and learning inside organizations, and one that we actually give ourselves, that I can have a cross point anytime I want? Let me tell you, the organizations out there, they are planning for you and I to freak out and have a midlife crisis. I actually did a study on saying to insurance companies, right? We have cars, homes, right? Because when we have a midlife crisis, we spend too much money and we do dangerous things. We go to dangerous places, right? So, on average, a man will spend 5 to 7 years having a cross point experience one time, right? He'll spend on average, now this is a first world number data point. On average, men spend $438,000 over 5 to 7 years midlifing.
Hmm.
Women, on average, spend 2 to 4 years in cross point, and they spend around 230 grand. we spend a little bit less for some reason, or maybe we share it with others. I'm not sure
Wait.
what.
So in 2 years they spent 200, and guys in 7 years they spent
No,
400.
this is on average 2 to 4, right? About $230,000 is the average for women. Yeah. So I'm saying I believe women have a tendency to spend the money on others. So I'm indicating that women will spend the money differently and how they will have a cross point experience. And I've seen that data even in private wealth statistics,
Well,
right? They have a heart. Yeah.
I would just say something different. Women are just a lot smarter, and so they just get it figured out faster and spend
Well, I'm
less
just
money.
trying to be nice. I don't want to make a sexist statement that women don't spend money foolishly. We can.
You know
Yeah.
what? I like what we were talking about earlier. It's never about culture. It's never about race. It's never about sex. It's never about that. But the truth is that
Humanity.
well, it's identity, it's value, it's beliefs, and its
Yes.
self-worth and things like that. And unfortunately, what happens in our world, too many women don't value themselves as much as they should or can, and the rest of the culture doesn't. So it's not a sexist thing so much, but it's just how, what prescription are we running based on the things that we were taught growing up for whatever reason. But like you said, times change. But here's an interesting fact, and the 7 year mark is very true on a physical or biological level, because there's evidence that suggests that every single molecule in our body gets replaced every 7 years. So every 7 years, you have in essence an entirely new body. But more importantly, again, is that as a human race, as the human experience, it is all about expansion. And it could be a very slow expansion, it could be a small expansion, it could be large, whatever it is. And because that's where we are our happiest. We are our happiest, when we grow. Spiritually, we are our happiest when we get to contribute. But what's interesting, it's almost like every 7 to 10 years, particularly with men, and I'm not so sure how it works with women, but it's almost like, we accomplish a mission in life, a purpose in life, whether we do it consciously or unconsciously. And by the time that 7 years hits, then it's a new mission, it's a new purpose. And it's interesting when you look around, anybody who's essentially evolving in life, not just stuck in life, but evolving in life, changes their environment, changes their friends, gets a new set of friends like every 7 to 10 years. So that number, there's a biological basis to that. And there's a biological truth to all. So it makes sense, the seventh day, on the seventh day we rest, the seventh day thing with the slaves. 7 year itch. Yes, exactly. So
I was married for 7 years.
is that right?
Yeah.
And so that just happens. And so, but I like to focus just, let's chunk it down right now, because we're almost halfway through this interview. And it's really important for me that people get to experience, what you are about and what you're actually offering. So let's just start off with, once again, and go through the what. What is the problem? The problem is, and I like to expand on that. Number one, millennials, they're changing jobs every year, 2 years. So by the age of 30, they have 12 different jobs. The 87% of the workplace is completely disengaged, and there's a reason for that. I knew 20 years ago, personally, I figured it out then, and I'm not so sure why it's a new idea today, that people will be out of jobs pretty soon. It's just the course that humanity is going, especially with all the technology. It's just obvious. Technology is going to take over jobs. To talk briefly first about what the what is, and then the why and the who. Why is this program that you're going to offer? Why is this so important? And who is it really for? And talk about the identity, alignment, the values, and the beliefs, that getting to the why, getting to that authenticity, and then finish off with the how. What is your program all going to be about? So You've got the floor, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, beautiful description of the leadership challenge. And what I say is happening when you say what is happening is that we're not being leaders of our life. That's either individually or as leaders of our organizations. So that challenge is appearing. And it's appearing because we're out of alignment in the core principles of what makes us powerful beings. So if you think about how that plays out in the workplace, this evolution of running after things at a rate or a level of speed that is only since the time that you described, the greatest generation, as industrialization came forward, and the more that we began to push and to create and to expand, the more that we began to believe that our greatest asset mattered less: people. We began seeing it as a tool, like what we were creating in a factory, right? In the 80s, when the first time layoffs started happening, you and I can remember that period of time. I was still at home, but I remember what layoffs looked like. It was a shock to the system that people weren't valued. The moment that people became an element that you could adjust your balance sheet, you don't make your returns, just lay off 1,000 people and you hit your return. So I'm intentionally going to a quantitative model, Dr. Bart, because you and I have been very much on the feeling space here in terms of transformation. So I want people to see the balance of what I'm discussing here. The element that we're pushing our teams and our people, downsizing yet doubling goals, isn't going to last. And if you attempt to take human beings and only make them a robot, and you go against the element of artificial intelligence, you will lose. We can't process at their level. Our greatest asset is emotional intelligence. It's our ability to relate, to collaborate, and to innovate, and to create an experience around that. The other thing that's happening that's a challenge, and what I'm describing is we've gotten to a place, not in all industries, not in all companies, but the ones that are suffering have no commitment or integrity around the employee experience. It's either the product, the return, or the client is all that matters. So they're outside, right? Imagine I'm top heavy, I'm out here. Yet everything I need to create what we want, I'm ignoring. So this model is out of balance. So that's what's happening. What was the next question in terms of the why, in terms of what my programs do?
So not the how yet, but the why and the who, as far as more specifically for your program. Who's that really designed for? What leaders, in what capacity, or what categories of business or whatever. But also let's talk more specifically about the identity and alignment and how that manifests in our world today.
Yeah, so the thing that was important to me is to capture the alignment of what it means to be a person, as well as be a person working with a group of people, an organization, whatever that is. So I believe the programs work for the person as well as the company. And that's the beauty of how you build momentum. When I, as an individual, give myself permission to be the best version of myself, which is the authentic version of myself, when I tap into what I know and believe to be true and the things that light me up in the morning. So you and I now get up in the morning, love what we do. We get to tap into intuition, imagination, inspiration, collaboration. Like, just feel how you can just feel the figure eight like flowing through your body, right? This is our world. This is what everybody deserves. So when we give that to the individual and you walk into a workplace, your intention is very clear on what you're going to create for that person, that group of people. You have a level of focus and you have a level of contribution. And we all deserve that. We deserve that as individuals. Leaders deserve. There's never been a greater moment of my life, the first time that I really tapped into this. And it was very much later in life, right? The first time that I felt like I really inspired authentically a group of people to do something, to be greater than what they were from an authentic place. I won't ever forget that, because it was the greatest high of my life to watch someone achieve their greatness. And that I just had one little thing, which was belief, inspiration. I said to them, I've got your back. I believe in you, and you can do this. And let me tell you a few things that I know that'll help you win that deal. And when they won that deal, the deal that nobody believed that, quote, we could win, I say the collective we. And when it was won, it was unbelievable. And to watch all that happen, that's the example. So I'm giving you the individual, the leader, the organization, right? This is what results in success. So what's success? Abundance, right? It's everything. It is the money. It is getting paid to have a good life. It is the enjoyment. It is pride. It is satisfaction. It's all the emotions that we deserve to have, not cut off and think that we only get to experience once a year in a performance review when we read 2 sentences that actually makes us feel kind of okay about ourselves. Yeah. So that's what I see is going on and what we need to change. So stop standing by. And I was so inspired by someone who I have a great amount of respect for. I've been a part of the Posse Foundation, both as a board member and as a believer. And a few weeks ago, I got to hear the founder, Debbie Beal, speak in front of a graduation audience. And she followed up right after Oprah. And she inspired the crap out of me because she's like, stand up. Stop standing by. Isn't that so beautiful? Just
Love it.
stand up
Love
and
it.
be a better person, be a better world. Let's do it together. And that's what I feel like this is here with these programs. I'm standing up. I'm saying, you know what? I'm a better version than me because I'm actually really being me. I'm giving you 1,000% of myself today. And 2 years ago, I would have been the corporate blah, blah, blah. I'm so glad this is what is showing up here today. This is what's standing up here today. And I want to teach that. I want to share that. I want to inspire that and others.
I love it.
So
As I told you before, my passion is about creating change, enhancing life, and my emotional currency is actually seeing other people's success.
yeah.
The reason for the show is to help people with their personal success. I'm here to help you with your personal success. That's my emotional currency. And what's interesting is that I get very emotional when I see incredible feats, physical feats, or other business feats or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, they actually were able to do this impossible task. But even if it's not that impossible, it's just, as you mentioned earlier, it's about feeling the emotions that they're feeling when they've reached your mountaintop, whatever that is. But here's what's interesting, and I have this question for you, is that in this world of, let's say, chaos, there's a lot of chaos out there. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. But even if a lot of what was not happening in the world today wasn't there, people still live in this world of fear. And so sometimes, or maybe a lot of the time, people just want to stay with what they know, that certainty, that security, even if it's painful. And there are studies out there that they challenge people, and I think maybe you and I talked about this last time. I know I talked about it with one person. Is that if I were to challenge you, it says, look, give me $50, I'll flip the coin, and if it's heads, then I'll double your money, and if it's tails, then I keep your money. Most people wouldn't go for that. Most people wouldn't even go for it if I made it. If you gave me $50 and I flip the coin, and you'll get $400 back if it's the right one. So people rather stay with what they know. So my question for you, because what you have out there is so important, your message is critically important. Your program is important to help people discover that leader within themselves, for themselves, getting into that alignment of their identity, their beliefs, their values, purpose, these things. But the environment around is a challenge sometimes. If that environment does not support, then people are sometimes not willing to step out. So what do you believe in your experience right now? Yes, I know some companies are out there and they're creating new trends, and I believe companies like Google or Apple or those kinds of companies are making lots of changes. But what about the rest of the world? Are they ready for this?
Well, it's either be ready or get ready or just respond, right? Like, it's though there's always an element of people that see something happening and they get ready for it. They get ahead of the curve, and there's always an element of people that, will suffer through the change. So what you and I do is create more awareness, so we create greater levels of shifts. I think the thing that we're seeing in the workforce that tells us something dramatically different is going to happen this time is, I shared with you another statistic. I'm not sure if it's 2022 or 2023, the estimate that 50% of the workforce will be contractors. So whether we're ready for it or not, this element of running, and I saw it, in the last couple of years that I was an executive at a bank, people would quit without a job. They would say, you know what, I've got enough savings. I'm going to take the summer off. I'm going to hang out with my kids. I'm going to go, you know what, I'm going to finish up my MBA. I don't know. And they told you something. So there wasn't even another job. Like me, I quit and I was successful. I had turned around with working a group of people. We had turned around the business. I was number one, number two on all my revenue hurdles. And I said, you know what? That still small voice that says, make that change. I couldn't not listen to it. And I have no regret. I have fears. You talked about fears. Fears are there. And I love, I don't know who said this. It's just in my memory bank. Fear will always show up. Fear has a voice. Don't let it have the vote. And, I'm so inspired by this. Do you watch Goldcast? I'm a freak about
Yes, I do.
Goldcast.
Yes, I do.
So there's one recently that Will Smith shared a couple of months ago about being in Dubai one night, drinking a little bit too much, and agreeing with a bunch of friends to get up the next morning and go skydiving. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen that
It's
one.
like it's perfect. It's the perfect analogy of what you and I are talking about. So he tells the whole thing of the con game in his head, getting all the way up to the point of that he's in the airplane. They're flying over beautiful Dubai, the island, right? And the guy says on three, you go. So 1, 2, they push you out because they know on 3 you're going to hold on. He describes that at the moment of your greatest fear, there is no fear. It is your greatest jubilation. And so now he says, embrace fear, because no, right on the other side of fear is the greatest experience you seek to, achieve or to have. So I think about that, right? Like, it's okay to have fear. Fear is a wonderful motivator. It can inspire you in the right direction. It's just the decision. And this is what you and I are talking about. The idea of sculpting a different pattern is just making a different decision. This is how powerful we are. So I meet people when people want to coach with me and say, hey, Carrie, will you work with me? I typically work with people for about 90 days. And I don't try to take on longer programs. I'm not saying I don't believe in, I don't believe in that, but I don't really think that you got to hang on forever. I think you can make the right kind of momentum, and I believe in that. I believe in inspired action for results. So when I meet people, I always get to hear everywhere that they're trading security for freedom, yet everything they want is freedom. We all desire to be seen, heard, and felt. Yet we're scared half to death to be seen, heard, and felt. It's ironic, right? The thing we want is the thing we fear. So just make a different decision about it. So I know you are seeing me, hearing me, and feeling me today. And that's the gift. This is how we make the change to those environments. We're making a change right now. I believe a ripple effect happens every time people like you and me. What is it, the Margaret Mead quote? You know, never ever take for granted the power of what a couple of people can do. You
Mm-hmm.
can make change. I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me. I love the quote. You know, never forget the power of what a couple of people can do. It always is what a couple of people can do that changes the world. Always. So,
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, and the
yeah.
truth is here is that when people like yourself and myself are out there inspiring others and just essentially shining the light in the direction that they can go on. And I think that's one of
Yeah.
the biggest challenges. People, you know, why people are fearful, why people, you know, are procrastinating, you know, why people are frustrated. You know, it's really quite simple. It's a lack of clarity, a lack of understanding and awareness of what's really possible in their life. Now, for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And so when someone like yourself can bring the light onto others and say, look, this is what you can do. And this is how you can tap into your passion. This is how you can tap into your purpose and then live the life, you know, by your design. I think
Yeah.
that's brilliant. So share with us your program.
Yes, yes. Well, the really cool thing of what you and I are talking about, which we know to be true, is that we're always creating, right? The first thing that I like to take away as a delusional thought is that people think, you know what? I'm really not doing anything. I'm just kind of sleeping my way through all of this. I go to work, I'm bored. You know, I don't have any passion about what I'm doing. I do it. It's kind of mind numbing. And they think that they literally aren't creating that. So the program that I first start with is is
I love it.
teaching total responsibility, that you are choosing that every moment of every day. There is nobody that is forcing you to create that existence. Even if you need to work there, obviously you got to collect a paycheck. Trust me, I'm not independently wealthy. I need a paycheck. Um, you know, so this whole idea of what we're creating, you're responsible for it. You choose it every day. Even in the element of working for the crappiest company and the crappiest boss that exists on the face of the earth, if you chose to look at that as a process of becoming something better, you can shift the entire experience. So that I would say it's a core element. If you come and you want to work with me, no, we're going to get real about that. So it's the false problem versus the real problem, and you're creating the real problem. So then now that we understand how powerful we are and what we create, we then step into that three-step model. If I really want people to tap into who am I? And I do. I like to hear people's stories. I think we are all natural storytellers. Even if we think that we dribble on too long, even if we think we talk too much, we are the stories we tell. So go back and remember your story. I believe in the power of intuition and creation. So I take people through experiences and exercises where we get back to who were you really? What did you used to really love? Let's fall in love again. Isn't that a nice idea?
I
Yeah.
love it.
So from that idea of moving from following in love and remembering what you believe in, it creates a very easy scenario as a coach, a guide. I really don't care what people call me. I think titles are meaningless, especially when you're independent, right? Like you can call yourself the Grand Master of Poobah. Like, what does that mean? But modeling and mirroring the way for someone to understand now that they've tapped in those two things. I love how very quickly people all of a sudden are like, oh my God, I used to do that. It was so much fun. You know what? My second job after college, I did that. It was the best job ever. And guess what? That job still exists. In fact, oftentimes it's like right next door to what someone's already doing. They
Right.
just forgot about what they could do. So yeah, so this whole idea of that three step, who am I? What do I believe? What's my purpose? But let me take it to a bigger scale. This is why I think it's so important, because you and I are talking about individual and my programs. I really want leaders to think about. Whether you're the privately owned company, you're the next great $1 billion solution, and you're probably a millennial if that's what the case is. I love how millennials are creating major mega companies. Or if you're a traditional die-hard blue chip company that is facing some challenges that you've never seen in the evolution of the 60 to 80 years that your company's been around, here's the thing. Identity creates expectation. Expectation is what those 100,000 people come and work for you collectively, or the 1,000 people that work for you. Expectation then will drive what we like to now call disruption. Disruption was always the thing that created innovation. We love the word now, right? It's a fun little techie word, but it's about challenging the status quo. So you're a baby boomer. You come from the generation that said, I'm the greatest generation. Why was that? Because you revolutionized, you disrupted, you disturbed the force of what made our country great and made it better. So challenging the status quo is something that we've got to be comfortable as leaders to continue to inspire. So we have to shift this idea that we manage perception. We don't. We can't manage perception. We create it within the authenticity. So moving from challenging status quo, we would then inspire a vision. Guess what, guys? Leaders, it has to be a vision that we all believe in and that we're creating. So it becomes a conversation. This is why organizations lose traction and communities don't. Why? Because communities have laws that politicians have to talk to their constituents. It's ironic there aren't laws like that in organizations. So when all of a sudden a leader will realize not only should they have a conversation about creating an inspired vision, but it's actually mutually beneficial to allow people to co-create with you. It then moves into an inspired action. See, I love action. Mentorship is great, but in my experience, mentorship often just creates affiliation, which I don't think is powerful. So inspired action means all of a sudden I know who I am. I know what I do for this company. I know my purpose. I know we're trying to hit a 10% return, and I know I'm the 2% of that 10, and by God, I'm going to deliver my 2%. Boom. Very clear alignment, right? That last piece from inspired action, it then creates trust and decision making. Now leaders are making leaders. We are not followers. We're not mind numb. We're not groupthink. We're not any of the things that you and I will literally create that 87% disconnected workforce. When I'm modeling and mirroring the way and I'm following that alignment, then guess what happens? We have an Apple. We have an Amazon. We have a Zappos. And we have disruption that's creating a new form of personality and behaviors inside the corporate space. Woo!
Love it. Love it. Love
I
it.
believe.
And so you deliver this. You deliver this in your program, right?
I do. I believe it. I lived it. I've made the mistakes. So let me be really clear to a leader. I've made every mistake that a leader can make. I've made the right decisions and the wrong ones. When I finally figured out that this is what really matters, that people is the number one thing. Products are great, but oh my God, more people fall in love with products and processes and systems. It is that piece, the human spirit, that drives the experience, that creates everything that we want in life. And I think it's the great American story. I do. That it can be the global story that we used to be.
And how do people sign up with you? And what should they expect?
Okay. They sign up with me by contacting Carrie at carriemoore.com. The beauty of having your own business is that you can have your own email address.
Yeah.
So if you know my name, you can contact me. I like to have a quick 45-minute discussion just to get a sense of where you are and to make sure it is the right thing. In most cases, 99% of the time, it is the right thing, but it is about you being 1,000% committed. It's about, are you coachable? Are you willing to shift and change? This isn't about, blue hair becoming yellow hair. It's not that. It's about you creating awareness. And the final piece is being resourceful around the approach and realizing that you will make changes that might create some discomfort. But on the
Right.
other side of that fear is what you're looking for. So yeah, those things are important. The finding me is easy. The signing up, like I said, I like to do no more than 90 days. And we can talk about the level if that's a group experience. I also do workshops. I do leadership development programs. I do a lot of in employee networks where I'll come and do a three-hour discussion and teach some concepts on a couple of these tools. And I'm also beginning to create my own online video program. So how can I start tackling some of these things? So how do we scale the world, Dr. Bart?
Love it.
Yeah.
So when can we expect, putting you on the line here, when can we expect that video series?
You know, I just am creating the outline. So
It's going to be a
I'm
while.
an
Okay.
entrepreneur. It's gonna give me 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Well,
I
great.
will seek to, do better than that, Dr. Bart. So hold me accountable to that.
Absolutely. And that word is key because it's your personal accountability in your own personal life that really matters the most. It's really up to you to make the changes. It's really up to you to be responsible for who you are. And many of the talks that I give, I start off with the statement that this being human, it's not easy. This human experience, no one has really given us that manual to understand it in the way that would serve us the best. And so, again, understanding this is that in this very moment, you are the absolute summation of all your experiences, all your decisions, all your emotions up to this very, very moment. So anyone listening in or you talking to me, it's your fault that you're here right now. And I say that with tongue in cheek because most people are not willing to accept that simple fact. As you pointed out earlier, it's not that life happens to you, but life happens for you. You are the co-creator of what's going on here right now. Even in the worst of circumstances, even with the worst of and most horrific challenges, right? You still have a choice. And that's been proven over and over again. What's the one, Man in Search for Meaning? What a great book. And so you see these people with these horrific, situations, and they're loving life. That's a choice. And for all of us, and the reason, why we have the prescription free transformation is to actually give people more choices. I have a firm belief that the happier people in this world simply have more choices. Now, interesting enough, when you have more wealth, it also gives you more choices. But it's not the wealth in of itself that makes you happy. It's the ability to have that flexibility, the ability to create new choices, the ability to change your focus, to change the meaning of where you are. Once again, realizing you're responsible and accountable for all of that. And so anyone listening in, absolutely connect with Carrie and make that commitment. And I love the fact that you give it 90 days. A lot of people just want to be therapists. Coaches want to be therapists. No discredit to them. That's not the way. This is about getting results and lasting change. Terms that the group of Tony Robbins uses all the time. Creating lasting change, getting results now. And I love the fact that you do 90 days because that's a commitment on your part and an expectation, if you will, of your client to say, okay, great, I've got to work. I can't just sit on the sideline and talk to my coach once in a while. But here again, coaches, for anyone out there, everybody needs a coach. And so it's important. Yeah, good. Maybe I'll coach you.
I have one.
You have one?
I have 2. Or maybe I have 5. I don't know. Like if I start counting,
Good,
I have at least
good
2.
For you.
2 that I pay for.
Good for you. I mean, everybody needs a coach, and actually, I need a coach or two, and I'm ready to call one of my friends, see if he's up to coaching me. He's too much of a close friend, so he may not want to do it, but he's a phenomenal coach. And
I'm happy to be your coach, Dr. Bart.
But we'll definitely talk about that. And
okay.
but the thing is that it's all about that opportunity for someone else to show you what you can't see.
Right.
It's that, the vision from top, seeing what you can't see so that you can make the changes in your life. And again,
Yeah.
that's what my platform is. That's what you do, is helping people realize what they're not able to see and that there is an opportunity for them to grow. It's like you said, in our last conversation and today, being the best version of yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
hell on earth, as I mentioned last time, hell on earth to meet the man that I was meant to be. Because that's where true purpose comes in. That's where true fulfillment comes in. That's where true magic and happiness and contribution. I do believe that we all want to contribute in this world.
And
And
it's that becoming, right? Like this thing that you talk about, if I can just contribute to that one thought.
yeah,
It's not I become, it's I'm becoming, which gives you the pleasure every step of the way.
being present in the moment of who you are in this very moment and making that very
Yeah.
clear choice who that is, and also making the choice of becoming even more. So I really
Yes.
want to thank you for today. I think we're going to wrap it up in about 1 minute, if my time is right here. Really want to thank Craig, my producer today, and I know that I will be joined by a new producer coming up. Very sad that my last producer, beautiful, beautiful woman, is no longer with us, and my prayers go out to her. Just what a blessing it was for me to have her produce my shows. But I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, prescription for your transformation, real people, real conversations, real success, talking to Carrie Moore. And I want to give you the last word.
Oh, well, I thank you so much. It's just such a pleasure. And I do want to compliment what you said. You're Wendy, and just that whole experience. What a beautiful soul, and in honor of her, this is why being intentional creators is so important. Thank you to everyone to listening, and believe in Dr. Bard. I believe in his message, and it's an honor to be here.
Great, Carrie. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, prescription for your transformation, real people, real conversations, and real success. And Craig, thank you so much. And we'll wrap it up.